Welcome, brave souls, to another night of chilling tales. As the storm rages outside, let the thunder and rain set the perfect backdrop for the horrors you're about to hear. Tonight, I present to you 3 true horror stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. So, grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and prepare for a journey into the unknown. Story 1, The Whispering Woods. In the small town of Willow Creek, there lies a forest that the locals call the Whispering Woods. For generations, it was believed to be haunted by the spirits of those who perished within its dense trees. One rainy night, a young woman named Sarah, new to the town, decided to debunk the local legends. She ventured into the woods, armed only with a flashlight and her determination. As she walked deeper, the trees seemed to close in around her. The rain pounded harder, and the whispers began. At first, they were faint, like the wind rustling through the leaves, but soon they grew louder, more distinct, voices calling her name, pleading, warning her to turn back. Sarah's heart raced, but she pressed on, determined to prove that there was nothing to fear. The rain soaked through her clothes, and her breath became visible in the chilling air. Suddenly, her flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. Panic set in as the whispers turned into anguished cries. She felt cold hands brush against her arms, her face pulling at her clothes. She ran blindly through the forest, stumbling over roots and rocks. The cries followed her, growing more desperate with each step. Branches scratched her face and arms, and she could feel unseen hands trying to hold her back. The ground became slippery with mud, making her progress even more difficult. Finally, she burst out of the trees and onto the road, collapsing in a sobbing heap. When she looked back, the forest was silent, the whispers gone. The rain continued to fall, but the oppressive feeling had lifted. Sarah never spoke of what she experienced that night, but the townsfolk noticed a change in her. She became quiet, withdrawn, always glancing over her shoulder. She avoided the woods at all costs and would shudder whenever someone mentioned them. Years later, Sarah learned the truth about the Whispering Woods. A local historian told her of an old tragedy, a group of settlers who had mysteriously vanished in those woods centuries ago. Their bodies were never found, but their voices were said to haunt the forest, warning others to stay away. The Whispering Woods had claimed another victim, and its secrets remained buried in the dark. Story 2, The Haunted Inn. Our second story takes us to an old inn nestled in the heart of the countryside. The Pineview Inn had once been a bustling establishment, but now it stood empty, shrouded in mystery. Legend had it that the inn was cursed, haunted by the ghost of a woman who had died there many years ago. One stormy night, a weary traveler named Mark sought refuge at the inn. Despite the warnings from the locals, he checked in, eager for a warm bed and shelter from the storm. The innkeeper, a frail old man, handed him a key with trembling hands, whispering, "Stay away from room 13. Curiosity got the better of Mark. After settling into his room, he decided to explore. He found room 13 at the end of a dark hallway, the door slightly ajar. He pushed it open and stepped inside. The room was cold, the air heavy with the scent of decay. The wallpaper was peeling, and the furniture was covered in a thick layer of dust. As he turned to leave, the door slammed shut behind him. Mark's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. He heard soft sobbing, and then a woman's voice pleading for help. He turned, and there she was, a pale figure in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. She reached out to him, her touch icy cold. Paralyzed with fear, Mark could only watch as the ghostly woman relived her final moments. She had been a guest at the inn, trapped in an abusive marriage. Her husband was a cruel man, prone to fits of rage. On a stormy night, much like this one, her husband had found her with another man. In a fit of rage, he had killed them both, their blood staining the walls of room 13. the apparition faded, leaving Mark alone in the darkness. He fled the room, his heart pounding, and never looked back. The next morning, he left the inn, vowing never to return. The Pineview Inn remains abandoned to this day, a silent testament to the horrors that took place within its walls. Locals say that on stormy nights, you can still hear the cries of the woman and her lover echoing through the empty halls. The inn has become a place of pilgrimage for ghost hunters and thrill seekers, but none have stayed the night in room 13. Mark's encounter was a stark reminder that some places are best left undisturbed, their dark history a chilling reminder of the past. Story 3: The Phantom Hitchhiker. Our final story tonight is one that many have heard, but few believe. The tale of the Phantom Hitchhiker. On a lonely stretch of highway, on stormy nights, drivers often report seeing a young woman standing by the roadside, drenched and shivering, her thumb outstretched. One such night, a man named David was driving home from a late shift. The rain was coming down in sheets, making it difficult to see. As he rounded a bend, his headlights illuminated a figure standing by the road. She was beautiful, with long, dark hair and a white dress that clung to her body in the rain. Feeling a pang of sympathy, David pulled over and offered her a ride. She thanked him with a sad smile and climbed into the back seat. As they drove, she spoke in a soft, melodic voice, telling him about her fiancé and how she was on her way to meet him. She spoke of their plans, their dreams, and how excited she was for their future together. David was captivated by her story, but when he glanced in the rearview mirror, she was gone. Panicked, he pulled over and searched the car, but there was no trace of her. Confused and shaken, he continued driving, hoping it had been a trick of the light. He tried to rationalize what he had seen, but the image of the woman lingered in his mind. As he neared his destination, he saw her again, standing by the side of the road. He slammed on the brakes, but she disappeared into the night. Terrified, David sped home, his mind racing. The next day, he spoke to a local historian and learned the truth. The young woman had been a bride-to-be, killed in a car accident on that very stretch of highway many years ago. Since then, she had been seen by countless drivers, always searching for her lost love. Some say she is looking for closure, while others believe she is trying to warn drivers of the dangers of the road. David's encounter with the Phantom Hitchhiker left him haunted, a reminder that some souls are forever bound to the place of their untimely death. He never drove that stretch of highway again, and every time he heard of a sighting, a chill ran down his spine. The legend of the Phantom Hitchhiker lives on, a ghostly presence on dark, stormy nights, forever waiting for a ride that will take her to her beloved. And there you have it, 3 true horror stories to chill you to the bone on this stormy night. Remember, the next time you hear whispers in the woods, or find yourself at a lonely inn, or see a hitchhiker by the road, think of these tales and the souls who linger in the shadows. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe, and until next time, sleep well, if you can.